Means we have these LED high beams and LED low beams, in addition to the LED fog lamps and this LED daytime running lamp swoosh. Compared to the larger Lexus RX, we have a more aggressive grille up front. This large Lexus logo right here conceals the radar sensor in our particular model because we do have the adaptive cruise control system. And we have these very different looking headlamps and the Nike swoosh daytime running lamp that's divorced from the headlamp. This is to give it more of a Lexus IS-like appearance. Some people have complained about the front end of the NX being a little bit pointy, and you can really see what's going on, but it's mostly style because this portion of the bumper right here, this entire front grille arrangement all the way down here to where the parking sensors are located, is actually relatively vertical. But the styling angles going on right up here give it this very pointy looking front end. For aerodynamic reasons, as well as for off-roading ability, we do have this very steep approach angle right here that helps you crawl over larger items. If you're not going to be doing that in your Lexus NX, then the F Sport version gets a slightly lower front bumper that helps cancel out these angles going on right up here, and it doesn't look quite so pointy. In terms of overall size, this slots in almost exactly the same size as the Audi Q5 and the Volvo XC60. This is a full foot longer than something like a Range Rover Evoque. The NX is more than 10 inches longer than the Audi Q3, so this is definitely not an Audi Q3, BMW X1, Mercedes-Benz GLA competitor. Right back here we have something that's a little bit different than the Q5 or the XC60. We have this very sloping rear roof right here, so you can see this rear glass really has a definite angle to it. That means we get less cargo room back here than you'll find in something like an XC60 or a Q5. From the head-on rear-end angle, the NX looks a little bit round, but it's really just the way these shapes all combine with one another because we have a definite hip going on right here from the wheels being pushed a little further outward than you'll find in some of the models out there. We have the tail lamps that actually stick out from the body a decent amount. I can actually put my hand all the way around this tail lamp and I'm not touching any sheet metal on either side. From this angle, you can really see how far these tail lamp modules stick out of the back. We also have that same sort of Nike swoosh logo going on right here that mirrors what we saw up front. An interesting touch is that right here between where the tail lamp module's fixed to the car and where it's attached to the tailgate, we have a very tiny LED strip right there inside the car that gives you this continuous look from the rear. Under the hood of the base NX, you'll find Lexus's first turbocharged engine in the United States. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It produces 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That is a little bit lower than you'll see in some of the competition, but Lexus in general likes to be conservative. That engine is mated to a standard 6-speed automatic transmission, sending power right here to the front wheels by default. You can get an optional all-wheel drive system that will send up to 50% of the power to the rear, assuming that there's no slip. I give the NX 8 out of 10 points in terms of front seat comfort. We do have a multi-way power adjustable driver's seat with a 2-way adjustable lumbar support. We also have a tilt telescopic steering column with a decent range of motion. The seats in the Volvo XC60 are slightly more comfortable. The base seats in the BMW X3 are a little bit less comfortable, but the sport seats in that X3 are a decent amount more comfortable than these seats in the NX. The standard seats in the XC60 are a little bit more comfortable than these. I also think the Mercedes GLK seats are a little bit more comfortable as well. Now, BMW's X3 seats and the Audi seats are a little bit less comfortable than this. However, BMW does offer that 21-way sport seat in the X3, and that is a decent amount more comfortable than this. Rear seat comfort comes in at 9 out of 10 points in the NX. We have a great deal of leg room back here. This front seat is moved all the way forward in its tracks till I have about 1.5 inches of room left up there. You can really see the kind of legroom going on in the NX. This is about the same amount of front and rear legroom that you actually find in the Lexus RX, even though that RX is a little bit bigger than this. We have the optional powered reclining rear seats in our particular model. This is the most reclined position, and this is the most upright position right here. In addition to reclining, these seats also power fold, so it's a one-touch mechanism. Just press that button once, either right here on the seat back itself, right back there in the cargo area, or up front by the driver's side. Once they're folded, it's almost completely flat with the cargo area in the rear. Scooting on over to this middle seat, we don't have very much of a hump right here in the middle, but this middle seat is a little bit higher than the outboard seats. Still, even though our model has the optional sunroof, I still have about 1 inch of headroom left over there. Not too bad at all for a vehicle this size. Scooting all the way over to this other side where I had this driver's seat moved all the way back in its tracks, I still have about 2 inches of legroom left. Part of what makes the excellent headroom possible is the fact that instead of this sunroof actually going into the car, it goes on top of the car when you open it. At just over 17 cubic feet of cargo space, the NX slots in below the average in this segment. In fact, it actually is a little bit less back here behind this tailgate than you'll find in the Lexus MKC. That puts Lexus on either end of this segment. The Lexus RX has considerably more cargo room than the average entry in this segment, and the Lexus NX has about 33% less cargo room than the average entry in this segment. A lot of the reason for the difference in cargo area is this sloping rear hatch, but also the way that this cargo area is shaped in general. As you can see, you cannot put a 26-inch roller bag under this tonneau cover that's in the vehicle. It lifts the tonneau cover up, so really can't put that in that fashion. That limits some of your cargo carrying capability. On the passenger side of the cargo area, we have those buttons for the power reclining rear seat backs. Those are optional. Standard is the manual reclining rear seat back, and we also have cargo tie downs right down there. Taking a quick look around the interior, we have height adjustable seat belts for both the driver and the front passenger, and a two-way adjustable headrest. One important thing to keep in mind as we go around this interior is that, like most of the other luxury entries, leather is not standard in the NX. We get new luxe seats as standard. Leather is optional. Moving on over to the front doors, most of the plastics you'll encounter are soft touch plastics. We have the soft touch injection molded and stitched armrest right here, injection molded and then after stitched soft touch upper, real wood trim on our particular model. You will find hard touch plastics lower on the door panels. We have a very large glove box on the passenger side. It is very deep. I was easily able to accommodate large tablet computers and a variety of other goods in there. Moving over to the dashboard, we have a variety of different textures going on. We have an injection molded upper. It's also after stitched, as you can see right there. Imitation metal trim, real wood trim right there. It is very darkly tinted, but this is real wood. Then we have a stitched pleather portion of the dashboard. This actually is multiple pieces of imitation leather that are then stitched together. And then below that, down towards the glove box, we have more hard plastic on the passenger side. Positioned high in the center of the dashboard is this multifunction display. Our particular vehicle has the optional navigation system, so we get a slightly different display, and of course the navigation software right there. Below that screen, we have an analog clock, two large air vents, and our dual-zone climate control. Our particular model has the optional heated and cooled seats. Moving below that, we have a small storage slot. As you can see, it's almost the size of my iPhone 5. We have a single-slot optical disc player, eject, radio, media, track forward, backward, and a play-pause button. Tune scroll button right over there, power volume knob, and behind this little door, you will find the SD micro card for your navigation system if your vehicle is so equipped. Like many other Lexus models, we have an Eco, Normal, and Sport drive mode select button right here. We press for Normal, rotate to the left for Eco, to the right for Sport, traction control, disable, EV mode button, brake hold system. This keeps the brake pressure on the vehicle if you're in drive, so you don't have to have your foot on the brake pedal the whole time. And we have our automatic electric parking brake. Behind the gear shifter, we have two very large cup holders right here, easily able to accommodate medium and large takeout sodas. And then right over here, we have the Lexus Remote Touch controller. Previous versions of Lexus N-Form, that'll be what you find on most of the Lexus vehicles out there, use sort of a joystick style arrangement. You put your hands on the little pad and it actually moves around like a joystick, moving the cursor around on that screen above me. This is, however, a trackpad, very much like you'll find on a modern laptop, except that it also has haptic feedback. So as I move my finger around on this trackpad, the little icon moves around on the screen. It also gives me haptic feedback to vibrate when it snaps to particular entries. You click down if you want to enter on the screen. The whole touchpad actually moves down. Dedicated home button, menu button, and back button right there. Behind the remote touch controller, we have a small armrest right here, and if we pull this off, we have a small vanity mirror. As you can see my camera right there, and that's also a sunglass holder, so you can actually put your glasses right here inside this little slot, right like that, and then you can put this cover right back over them. That's because we do not have a sunglass holder up there in the center console like you might find in other vehicles. Behind the cup holders, we have a large center armrest thanks to the front-wheel drive system in this vehicle. We have a Qi charging mat right here. This is part of the wireless Qi standard on-off button right there. You can place your Qi compatible device right on there and charge it. If we lift that up, we have a very deep compartment with two USB ports, an auxiliary input, and a 12-volt power port. Again, that's possible because of the front-wheel drive design of the NX. The NX gets a 3-spoke steering wheel, leather-wrapped of course. Those controls for the multi-information display right over here. If we had the NX200t Turbo, we would have paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel. The hybrid model does not get them. We have the radar cruise control system and the lane departure prevention system in our vehicles. We have those buttons right down here for the lane departure prevention system as well as the radar cruise control system. And then we have our cruise control buttons right down here on the stock. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have our volume up, down, track forward and backward button, mode button, voice command button, and dedicated phone hang-up and pickup buttons. On the driver's left, we have the control for our tilt telescopic steering column, as well as the buttons for our power reclining rear seats. So you can actually fold or unfold them right here from the driver's side.